Well, hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, or if it's your first time here, welcome especially. I'm Sally, and I'm so glad you stopped by. Today we are talking about 10 things that will absolutely wreck your metabolism. Now with these 10 things, you are gonna hear cortisol coming up quite frequently. So let's talk about that real quick. Cortisol is a stress hormone. It is important, we all need it, we all have it, but unfortunately many of us have too much cortisol, or we have too much cortisol at the wrong times in the day. And when our cortisol levels are elevated for a prolonged period of time, our thyroid function is inhibited. Now, thyroid function is absolutely crucial for metabolic health because your thyroid is like the gas pedal for your metabolism. It sets the pace. So if our thyroid function is inhibited, it is slowing down, shutting down our metabolism. You can learn all about thyroid in a video I am going to link below. So open that in another tab or just go check it out after this video. But point number one, first thing that will wreck your metabolism is skipping breakfast. I am not a proponent of intermittent fasting, not in any way, shape, or form. I know are short-term benefits that people see from intermittent fasting, and this may ruffle some feathers, but I personally believe that intermittent fasting is a shortcut. All of those results can be achieved from, eating an appropriate balanced diet. It just might require a little bit more forethought. It might require a little bit more diligence. And I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just saying it is a tool that people use for short-term results, maybe even for hormone regulation. But in the long term, I believe that it is much more destructive than it is constructive. If we are going to intermittent fast, however, if you're gonna do it anyway, do not skip breakfast. Do not limit your food intake in the morning. Limit it in the evening. Stop eating earlier in the day. Reason being, our cortisol levels are highest in the morning. When we wake up, they should be. This helps us get out of bed in the morning. However, we don't want them to keep rising and rising throughout the day. We actually want them to lower. Now, if our blood sugar gets low, this releases cortisol into our bodies. It's one of the biggest stressors that we can put on ourselves is poorly regulating our blood sugar. So if we do not eat when we first wake up, ideally within 30 minutes to an hour, cortisol levels keep rising, and that over time can inhibit thyroid function, even if in the short term, people are seeing weight loss because of it. If you were to shift your fasting period towards the evening, your body is going to be much more resilient in many ways, much more stable, and that can even play into like your overnight detoxification processes. Not that I think that's necessary, because as long as we're not consistently eating a ton right before bed, your body is fasting. You are fasting, your body is detoxifying overnight. Okay, clearly have lots of thoughts and opinions about that, but we are going to move on to number two, which is coffee on an empty stomach. Now, coffee is a metabolic stimulant. So you might be wondering, wait, how does that work? Coffee is a metabolic stimulant, but we don't want to have it on an empty stomach. Wouldn't that speed up my metabolism? Again, let's look at short-term versus long-term. So if we have coffee on an empty stomach, what it's doing is, again, increasing your cortisol levels by lowering your blood sugar, speeding up your metabolism short-term. Think of it like that. Cortisol levels increase because if you don't have food in your metabolism, there's nothing for it to gobble up. There's nothing for it to use. So it is raising your stress hormones so that your body can essentially tap into other sources of stored energy. So if we simply eat before we have our coffee, it helps to provide almost the buffer that we need so we don't have that response, and keeps our hormones regulated throughout the day and doesn't take a blow to our metabolism. It can even, again, be supportive, acting as a stimulant in an appropriate context. Next one, number three, is eating just a salad. This could also go for just a smoothie that doesn't contain protein. Eating just a salad devoid of any sort of protein, or especially like notable fat. I mean, maybe it has dressing, but it's not like a supportive fat, or it's not very much. protein and fat, if we don't have those with our meals, if we're just eating a salad, even if that's something that's considered really healthy, what that will do, again, is cause a spike in blood sugar. As the nutrients are being absorbed for your food, there's no buffer. There's no protein or fat to help slow that absorption down. Again, this will raise your cortisol levels, and this will cause short-term unpleasant symptoms of shakiness, of the crazy cycle where you are hungry, you're starving, you have to eat right now, and then your blood sugar gets really high and you're miserable because of that, and then it just repeats. But again, long-term effect of cortisol being elevated, inhibiting thyroid function and screwing up your metabolism. Number 4 is working out on an empty stomach. This follows the same line of reasoning. Your body needs fuel when we are working out. Just like with the coffee, honestly, if you don't have carbs, especially in your system to fuel your exercise, your body needs to tap into energy stores. Now, I know if you are someone who is trying to lose weight, you might be thinking, but I want it to use those energy stores. I highly encourage you to check out my video on the real reason you are not losing weight, because fat loss, weight loss as a whole, but ideally we want it to be fat, in most instances comes down to calories in versus calories out. It really doesn't matter when you eat those calories throughout the day versus when you don't eat those calories throughout the day. So we want to be in a deficit overall if weight loss is an appropriate goal for us. But you do not want to work out on an empty stomach, because your body's just going to have to go into overdrive to tap into your stores when it needs them urgently, and that is going to make you more stressed out. Your metabolism is going to take a blow, which means you're going to need fewer calories just to exist. Your body's trying to conserve everything, and it's going to be harder for you to maintain an ideal body composition over time. Okay, next one. Number 5 is not doing resistance training. Huge mistake that I see people making is just not engaging in weightlifting or some form of resistance training. This could be body weight, it could be like Pilates, it could be bar, it could even be yoga, because that is oftentimes more like isometric. You're holding a position, but it's again still working your muscles. As we build muscle mass, we increase our body's resting, our basal metabolic rate, how many calories we are burning just at rest, and we make our bodies more efficient. So that's one of the biggest things you can do to help improve your metabolic health, speed up your metabolism, but also just regulate your hormone health, help with insulin resistance, help with all of this, is start lifting some weights or doing some Pilates or doing some bar, doing something that you enjoy. Just find a form that you really enjoy and make it a habit. Okay, next one is eating a low-fat diet. Fat does not make you fat. Calories in versus calories out. Now, it is true that fat is more calorically dense than our other macronutrients, than carbohydrates and protein. So if we are eating a super high fat diet and just completely unaware of the significance of that, yes, you might see some weight gain. However, if you are eating an incredibly high carbohydrate diet without enough fat in your diet, you are not going to be satiated. And again, we're going to be on that crazy cycle where you get absolutely starving, you need to eat something, you're probably going for fast carbs with not enough fat, not enough protein, your blood sugar levels get really high, there's this massive insulin dump, and then all of a sudden you're low again, and your body's in this constant state of emergency. In that constant state of emergency, increasing our stress hormones, which is repeatedly taking a blow on your metabolism. And so fat is really crucial to supporting healthy blood sugar, which supports a healthy metabolism, and also just supporting satiety, which is also a huge factor when it comes to regulation as a whole. Number 7 is poor sleep. Poor sleep can actually inhibit glucose metabolism and interfere with your satiety signals. This is something I've experienced myself. I was doing fitness training for a couple years, nothing against that, it's great, but I was working a schedule where I was waking up at 3:30 a.m. multiple days a week, like 4:30 2 other days, not getting enough sleep by any means. And I certainly felt it, but I didn't notice until after I started getting enough sleep just how much it was messing with me. And I truly do believe it was impacting my satiety signals. It's like everything is just out of whack, which makes sense because it's it's interfering with that reset time with that detoxification time that you have. So just make sure you are getting enough sleep. Okay, number 8 is going to be a sedentary lifestyle. So we already talked about resistance training, but specifically, it is a problem to just be sitting all day. Even if you have a sedentary job, we want to be getting up. We want to be walking around in between tasks. Ideally, if we can move during our lunch break, eat your lunch, then take a gentle walk in the morning, walk in the evening. Movement just throughout the day is really crucial to hormone cycling. It's really crucial to, again, satiety cues. It's really crucial for managing like insulin resistance, all of those things. And as a whole, it has a massive impact on your metabolism. So find a way to move throughout the day in addition to more structured exercise, especially resistance training. Number 9 is going to be a juice cleanse. Now this ties right back into what we already talked about with blood sugar. If we are doing a juice cleanse, you are having incredibly high carbohydrates all day long, not enough protein. You are on a blood sugar roller coaster that is increasing your cortisol levels. This really is not the way to go about detoxification either. It's not getting to the root of the issue. It's actually potentially just allowing more toxins to have free range in your body if you don't have the system set up to properly eliminate those toxins. So really it's not the move. Don't do a juice cleanse. Please don't do that to yourself. And lastly, number 10 is over exercising. So just as we want to make sure that we are exercising enough, we want to be doing, we do want to be doing both resistance training and cardiovascular training. Those are both really important to maintaining and furthering, we'll say, optimal health. If we are working out too much, especially if we are doing excessive amounts of cardio and then not fueling ourselves properly, your body again is just like, oh my gosh, dude, chill out. This is too much. I'm exhausted, and it goes into conservation mode. It wants to hold on every little thing that it can. It's going to minimize the amount of calories that you need as much as it possibly can. And you'll see all of that work just working against you. So we really want to find the right balance when it comes to exercise, having a consistent routine, incorporating progressive overload, so not starting too hard too fast, but gradually adding more to continue challenging yourself while of course recovering enough, and of course fueling your body for optimal function. Well, that's it. 10 things that are killing your metabolism. Please let me know down below what you think of this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Until next time, bye y'all.